You're listening to the Backroom Beer League podcast with your hosts, Jacob, Nigel, and Greg. Bringing you your fantasy sports content recorded from the back room. To stay up to date, follow us at BRBL Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and rate the podcast to show us your support. Now, here's Jacob, Nigel, and Greg to talk fantasy sports.
It is 9 o'clock on February 10th. This is episode 4 of Backroom Beer League. My name's Jacob.
My name's Nigel.
I'm Greg.
And we're here to talk about what happened last week. So I'm going to hand it off to Greg right off the bat this week. I know he wants to talk a bit about basketball, a bit about the trade deadline review, who was the winner, who was the loser maybe, who was kind of in between. I know a lot of pieces got moved around this week, so lots to talk about. But yeah, what do you have to say, Greg?
Yeah, a lot happened in basketball this week. Mainly the trade deadline. A lot of big names being moved, young names being moved, a lot of questionable trades, a lot of beneficial trades for both sides. So we're just going to kind of recap those, some of those at least. The first one I want to kind of wanted to talk about was the blasphemy that was Andre Drummond to the Cavs for, I think it was like Brandon Knight, a second-round pick, and John Henson.
Yeah, well,
which is the most ridiculous deal I've ever heard.
It was a
in my
blasphemy in two different ways, because it was a blasphemy, but Andre Drummond was pissed.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you, man? Going to Cleveland, I guess.
Well, there was no forewarning. He said there was no real advance notice.
If you were to ask me if I thought Andre Drummond was going to be traded before the deadline, I would have said absolutely not. There's no way I would have thought that he was the Detroit Pistons. I know they have Blake Griffin.
He was their heart and soul.
He was the guy, right?
Yeah. He was.
The one thing that's always pissed me off about Andre Drummond is that the Raptors literally picked Jonas Valanciunas over him. Way back in the day. Anyway, that's unrelated.
He's such a key player, and
he's like a guaranteed 20 and 15 guy.
Yeah,
that's someone you can build around.
I know there's not a lot happening in Detroit, but for them to just trade him like that,
there was no reasoning either.
There was no reason.
Brandon Knight's a washed up
Why did
scrub.
they have to move him?
There is no reason.
He was like, did you see his tweet?
To the Cavs.
Yeah.
Where are the Cavs going?
Nowhere. He was openly down to staying in Detroit when his contract was up too. It was like public knowledge, which is kind of ridiculous to me anyway, that he'd want to stay in Detroit knowing that the prime of his career was being wasted away. But he already intends to stay in Cleveland after this deal that was just went through. Brandon Knight's career is over. John Henson's never lived up to his full potential. And that second round pick, I mean, yeah, it might be all right, but you're literally trading him for an 8th grader. So at the end of the day, I don't understand how that's ever going to affect you. I wonder how Dwayne Casey feels about this, because Dwayne Casey is defensive and a rebound heavy coach with his mindset. You saw it for the Raptors for years. And to see Drummond go for so little in return, I could only imagine that he was pretty pissed off too. Because I know I would be.
Andre Drummond is completely underrated in my opinion. Like,
oh my god, he's a top 5 center in the league.
Crucially
for sure.
Underrated.
Oh yeah,
nobody talks about him.
Like the trade came out of it didn't make sense. Like nobody thought Drummond was going to go, and like
he's also a fantasy stud,
and it made no sense. Like none of those teams benefited from it. Like I guess Cleveland did, but Cleveland's not making the.
Cleveland benefited from it. Like because if they're smart, they'll trade him for something young.
If Cleveland was smart, they should have got rid of Kevin Love for something to Portland, because he wanted to go to Portland. Portland wanted him.
Yeah, but I doubt Portland would have given you anything back in return what's worthwhile. I feel like someone like the Lakers or the Clippers could potentially pick up Kevin Love in the offseason. That's also rumors that he won, because him and LeBron clicked, right? They argued, but the two of them played really well together.
There's no way that Kevin Love's staying where he is.
He wants out.
No, man.
He doesn't want to play for the Cavs.
I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. He was a beast in Minnesota. He went to Cleveland to play third fiddle to Kyrie and LeBron. He basically washed himself up. And then now he's leading this team that's awful. And then Colin Sexton's getting more touches, and it's just not.
I mean, he got a ring out of it. I wouldn't be too upset.
No, he got a ring out of it, but he could have had an MVP. I really do think, like, Timberwolves, Minnesota, Kevin Love, wins an MVP because he was dominant. That's like averaging triple-double, lockdown shooter, defender, just incredible player. Anyway, that's only one deal. Then we had...
I do want to say, before we kind of fully move on, that Andre Drummond was traded a bit. There wasn't much advance notice given to him, but if I was Andre Drummond, I really wouldn't expect much else because he has been shopped to Atlanta for months.
Yeah.
Like, he has been on the market for months, and to say that...
Yeah, I feel like he, as like a leader and a captain of that team,
feel like
would
he
have
was just-
expected,
Yeah.
I don't know, like common courtesy.
Yeah,
just
I
to
guess
like,
so.
be like,
Yeah,
"You're out."
but I mean, to be a guy like Andre Drummond and be completely shocked that you got moved, I think it's just more that he got moved.
I feel like
to
every
Cleveland.
player is just completely shocked that they get moved.
Yeah.
Unless it's like known that they're...
Like you said, it is a business.
Yeah.
And he has to at least give some respect to the fact that it is a business, that players are literally pieces in the NBA. Like, there is no emotional attachment in the trade deadline.
Yeah. My favorite deal of the trade deadline was easily the Wiggins-Russell swap between the Timberwolves and the Warriors.
Well, what you said came true.
Yeah, I know.
What you said came true. Golden State got Wiggins.
Mm-hmm. We're all fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just proves that Golden State does still have that base that
Golden
they can build
State's going to
from,
be a top 3 team in the West,
and they're going to be right back
I
where
think
they
they're
were.
two. I think they're 2 behind the Lakers. Like, I think it even be 1. Like, I think
I don't
that
see
starting
one.
lineup of Wiggins, they're going to have Wiggins. I think Draymond's going to... I don't think Draymond will leave. I think he'll resign.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to get
Draymond
Wiggins,
will probably-
Draymond, Steph, and Clay.
And James Wiseman, probably.
Yeah, and whoever they draft.
But then you got the Lakers, and AD, I don't think is...
They're
maybe
top
not.
3. They're top 3 in my opinion. Anyway, I just think this deal was literally good for everyone except the Western Conference, the other teams in the Western Conference. Because you add D'Angelo Russell to the Timberwolves to pair up with Kat, his literal best friend and the player that he's known to play well with. Right?
I've seen a
With
video
all
of
these
him waiting at the
AAU
airport. He
Yeah.
was waiting at the airport with his jersey in hand.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so cool that they're so close, before this trade even happened, that he's waiting there for him to come
It was
and
so
play basketball
It's
with him.
Wiggins gets more touches. Wiggins should be up for most improved player. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Wiggins gets more touches. He gets to develop so that next year the Warriors can come out full force. D'Angelo Russell gets to pair up with a true big in Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota's his place of the future. I think he stays there for a long time because this guy has moved around a lot, right? From the Lakers
Minnesota's
to the
looking
Nets
scary. Like,
they look good because
they're
they got
quietly
Okogie
looking
too.
scary. They're
a good kid.
I mean,
He's
they're not
good.
great right now, obviously, but the pieces that they're acquiring, the picks that they're acquiring,
Looks like they're gonna have a good draft too.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if they don't.
And I've always made fun of Minnesota for being this irrelevant team that, Andrew Wiggins going to go anywhere except Minnesota? Like, that's what you think of when you think of the team. But when you really look at what they have in the draft pick category, in the pieces that they've been acquiring, I mean, they're doing some good work out there.
Yep. And we also had the Andre Iguodala to the Miami Heat. Finally get him out of that horrendous position that he was in Memphis, not playing, having the young rookies talking shit. Shut up, John Morant. Like, I'm sorry, but shut up. Like, you're good, but
we get that it's like a youth movement in Memphis.
You aren't proven.
But just because you're young and you're a good rookie,
like, talk
doesn't
to
mean
Iggy
that
when
you
you
can
have
talk
rings.
that shit. Like, you
Talk
can't.
to Iggy when you have rings. Honestly.
And he's calling it, like, I know that it was a joke, but he's calling out Steph Curry on Twitter almost like,
but
stop it.
But he's averaging like not even 20 points as a rookie, and he dead ass thinks he's like.
I'm a fan of Ja too.
So am I, but don't act like that.
You're doing a bit too much in your rookie year.
Yeah, and then we also had Marcus Morris heading over to the Clippers. Hey, Knicks homer, how'd that make you feel?
Listen, Mook wasn't. He was definitely a needed piece of the team, and I still think that there is the possibility, because we talked about this briefly, I think, before, that he is on that 1-year deal, and it expires after the end of the season. So if he does come back in free agency, I mean, he might win a ring and then come back to New York. I mean, it's really the best of both worlds for him. If he wants to build a career in New York like he said he did and be that kind of veteran player that the New York Knicks really need with a ring from another team.
You got good return, though. I like that you got Mo Harkless in the first. That was definitely a sufficient return.
Yeah.
100%.
No, I really think that like it could have went a lot worse. We could have made no deal.
Yeah. Isaiah Thomas is getting waived by the Clippers.
I did see that too.
Let's see who picks him up. I think it's over for IT.
Yeah.
He's just too small, man.
Yeah, he's just he literally is too small.
He's too small. When you have big men that can shoot threes like nobody's business, he's just kind of an unneeded piece, really.
I thought the Clippers were giving him his last chance, like kind of like, okay, let's see what happens, but I guess not. I don't know if somebody will get desperate and pick him up. Or
he was
if he's
pretty
just
much
toast.
an optional piece in that deal. Yeah. And obviously they don't need him.
Another team that was active on trade deadline day, and reasonably so, was the Philadelphia 76ers. They got rid of James Ennis, who was actually a productive piece for them off the bench. But they also added Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson, two players that they add a lot of shooting with Burks. But I think they get some athleticism and defensive grit with Robinson. And I think they had a good trade deadline.
Well, they need it because they've been underperforming awfully this year.
And some reports came out last couple of days, mainly yesterday actually, that I was reading something on ESPN, that the Sixers were actually actively shopping Joel Embiid.
Wow. That's actually hard to believe.
They were actively shopping Joel Embiid, but the price was a solid starter and 2 first-round picks.
You see, that's a price. That's a price too high to pay, and that's why they never moved him. That's
like asking the Raptors for Siakam, Van Vliet, and 2 first-round picks, which is a hell no.
The 76ers have ultimately been a disappointment. I mean,
yeah. Well, this goes into my next topic perfectly. Like, why have the 76ers been so? They are the best team in basketball at home and the worst team in basketball on the road.
Well,
do you think this has something to do with their egos? I know that Ben Smith and Joel Embiid are clashing. Clearly, the 76ers picked Ben Smith over Joel Embiid because they are shopping Embiid.
Did they jump the gun and move Jimmy Butler too soon?
I think they did.
Oh, 100%.
If they had one more year of Jimmy Butler with their current team, would they actually find success? I think they would.
Because Jimmy Butler's playing really well right now.
They should have re-signed Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, they should have. And Ben Simmons is looking way better than he has in the past.
Yeah.
If they had Jimmy Butler on the team right now, I think we'd see a different 76ers team.
I think they need grit. They're really just a bunch of wimpy kids. That's what they are.
Their momentum of having a winnable team almost died against the Raptors.
Ever since Kawhi hit that shot over Embiid, it just seems like they're a different team.
And Embiid walked to the locker room crying. Mm-hmm. They were miserable.
I feel like something that's quite important to mention about the Sixers is that Brett Brown's not a good coach. He should be fired. He should have been fired after they lost that series last year. For one, they don't have good ownership. They were the worst team in basketball until Embiid got healthy and they drafted Simmons.
Yeah.
They've never been a successful franchise. They're like the Cleveland Browns of the NBA.
They remind me a lot of it's like that. You get that position where you're doing as a coach. You're just successful enough to not get fired. You should be fired.
Yeah.
But you look at the resume and you're like, oh, they made the playoffs.
The 76ers right now are almost in playoff purgatory. They don't know whether they're going to tank. They don't know whether, because they have the pieces that can make them a great team. And
they could win the East with what they have. 100%. People thought they were going to at the beginning of the year.
But they could also completely bottom out with the pieces they have for whatever reason. And it's not really known what that reason is. I think it's a chemistry issue, obviously, because you said Embiid and Simmons aren't getting along, and then Jimmy Butler goes to Miami.
Well, you have 2 ball-heavy guys.
2 big opinions.
Yeah. Ben Simmons is a ball carrier.
Yeah.
I feel, you know what? I almost feel bad for the 76ers, because in the sense, if LeBron didn't go to the Lakers, he was going to go to the 76ers. This was a thing. He's open about it. He's open about that because he thinks Ben Simmons is the next best player in the league. Not like right now, but like he thinks Ben Simmons is the future.
Yeah.
And
which is fair.
I mean, fair. Luke is better, but it like I understand where he's coming from. They were so close to being an unbeatable force. No one would touch that team with LeBron James. But now they're nothing.
That would have been really weird. Like, I know LeBron's being open about it and saying I would have went to the 76ers, like they were an option, but that would have been really weird seeing LeBron in a 76ers uniform, if I'm being honest. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, well, I never would have thought of seeing him in a Heat jersey until he went there.
Well, that's
true.
even though I don't know why, even for me, when like I heard he went to the Lakers, like I wouldn't say it was surprising, but it was like still like the first few games it was like weird to see him in, because even with the Heat he was at least in that consistent like close to reddish shade, and then he went yellow.
Yeah. One team we did fail to mention, kind of in depth. I don't even think we touched on them when you were going over the trade deadline. The Atlanta Hawks. I always make fun of the Atlanta Hawks. Getting Clint Capella.
That was a good deal.
That is a good deal. And as a Knicks fan, obviously, playing against the Atlanta Hawks, it's pretty much a tank bowl between us. But the game the other night, Trae Young, he was a star. He just showed me how good he is. He draws these fouls like nobody I've ever seen before. Like, he'll be shooting from beyond the 3-point line, and he'll draw a weird foul.
Yeah, it's Curry.
Yeah,
Curry 2.0.
pretty much.
I wanted to talk a little bit about like a conference roundup. Now that we're at the halfway point of the year, start with the Eastern Conference. You got the Bucks. Phenomenal first half. They're unbeatable.
The best record in the league. I don't think they're getting touched. I think they're in the finals. I don't think anybody in this touches them.
This is not a homer take. The Raptors have won 14 straight
That is crazy.
games. 14 straight games. Do you guys think they have what it takes to like make the conference final?
I really
A conference final, yes, but I just don't think the Bucks are beatable.
I think the Bucks beat them in like 5 or 6.
I think the Bucks have more stamina, if that makes sense, because the Raptors have had injury issues, and I think that for whatever reason, the Bucks have just been able to stay a bit healthier over the course of the year. But maybe they're due for.
Do you know what scares me the most about the East? Is that the Brooklyn Nets are 7th in the East in a playoff position, with Kyrie Irving being hurt for about 7/8 of this year, and no Kevin Durant.
When Kyrie plays, it's a different team.
Man,
it's a completely
that's what
different
scares
team.
me about next year. If they can hold the 7 now, what's to say when KD comes back next year?
Well, that's why I want the Knicks to sign someone next year, is because I don't want to be cheering for a team that has to play Brooklyn and get
up, big man.
bombed. Like, I know, it's just bad though, because I don't really know what we're gonna do. Like, it's our inner city rival.
Well,
the Brooklyn Nets.
Right now, the Raptors and the Nets play in the first round.
Well, yeah, because the Magic holds the 8 spot.
Yeah, Kyrie's going to be healthy.
I wouldn't underestimate them. I know that.
Oh, God, no.
When Spencer Dinwiddie puts up like 20 points a game, and then you have Kyrie coming in.
Well, the Raptors beat them by 1 the other night. The Raptors have won their last 3 games by 1 point.
That's nuts.
They just win, dude. Like, Nick Nurse wins. And I think the East is like, I know the West is a lot better, but the East is very, very, very tight. You have Milwaukee at the top, but then you have Toronto, Boston, Miami, Philly, Indiana, and Brooklyn are all on like the same level playing field right now. That's 2 to 7 are like equal, which is crazy.
I completely agree. Like, some of these teams you might take for granted. You might say, okay, we can beat Brooklyn easily.
Yep.
But then you get to a game in Brooklyn and Kyrie's running all over you. Yeah. You just can't take any of these teams in the East for granted, man.
See, the West is more top heavy, but I'd say like the East is more balanced.
Yeah. The East is more balanced.
Like your top, like to put it bluntly, your top 16, like your top 5 in the West, which are the Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Jazz, and Rockets. And then you can count OKC at 6 and Dallas, but like Memphis is, at 8. I don't think Memphis is gonna.
I think Memphis being at 8 is an incredible accomplishment.
It is.
No one thought they were going to be
the team
near
that they had
that, man.
But like when they get to the playoffs and have to play the Lakers.
No, they're not going to make the playoffs. Damian Lillard and Portland are going to overtake them.
Oh my! They got screwed the other night. Absolutely screwed.
That was awful.
Lillard's been going nuts. Also, Portland's had Houston's number, so God, I hope we don't meet them anytime soon. But they got that goaltending call was horseshit.
You know what's crazy to me as well is that the Minnesota Timberwolves are set right now in stone to have the 3rd overall pick in the draft.
That's what I'm saying, man.
With D'Angelo and Cat.
The picks that they've picked up and the picks that they have already and the pieces that they've picked up in the trade deadline, they're building a good team, and they're building a team that's actually sustainable. Like, because they have the picks to back it up. They have the youth coming in the future.
We talk about the Nuggets being tied for the second seed with the Clippers right now.
I love
the Nuggets are
the
good,
Nuggets
man.
do well.
They're good.
Yeah,
They are.
But they always choke in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
They always choke in the playoffs. Like, I see them going up against Luka and Kristaps right now and losing. Like, I can fully see that happening.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
OKC just continues to surprise me. I don't know why, but...
Well, it's because Chris Paul's still a great point guard
Chris
leader.
Paul is still a great player.
He just, like, his time in Houston was done. Him and James Harden didn't go along. He needed to go. Like, it wasn't talent-wise. It was just... He didn't get along with most of the team, and he just needed
He has
to
a true center in Steven Adams. He has a good young guy playing shooting guard in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has good, solid power forward in Danilo Gallinari, who the Heat, if the Heat would have ended up trading for Gallinari at the trade deadline like they tried, would have been foolish. The Heat didn't trade for him because they want to keep cap space for Giannis because they think Giannis is going to go there.
But Giannis is still
BS.
2 years. Like, Giannis is still
2021.
Part of me thinks he won't leave Milwaukee because that city loves him, and that team loves him.
Yeah. I just think the Heat, their time is to strike now.
Like, you've got prime Jimmy Butler.
The Heat are in win now mode.
You just got Iggy.
They're not win in 2 years, like when Giannis becomes a free agent mode.
Yeah, you're right.
There's no reason for them to hold out for Giannis for something better.
They're still going to be good when Giannis becomes a free agent, but he'll just never go there.
Yeah, I know.
This is gonna pee me off a little bit. Masai Ujiri today was charged by that police officer in Oakland that he had that altercation with after the Raptors.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Game 6 of the final.
Wow.
And he's being charged. And who knows how the hell that's going to affect the Raptors.
I did see that trending on Twitter. I did see his name trending on Twitter. I didn't look into it, but I did see that, and now that makes sense.
We'll see.
So what are the charges for?
Assault.
Just assault.
Pushed him out of the way.
Yeah.
And the cop is claiming that he has life-threatening injuries that are affecting his day-to-day life and his activities.
It's a legal case, isn't it? Because if it was civil, then that could be worse. Because like civil, like actual legal is out of the window, and it's just now on like an assessment of what happened. But at least with the legal case,
it had an effect on his nervous system, and that it has led to permanent disability.
I think this is like that whole OBJ cop thing, which eventually got dropped. Except like it's a little higher because he's got charges, but like. I think the cop's blown it a little out of proportion, but I wasn't there. I don't know what happened.
But if that's true, that's absolutely fucked.
He's done. Well, I don't know.
Well, he's not done.
He's going to be found not guilty.
Yeah.
It's just the cop.
They have the lawyers on their side.
Yeah.
Like the Raptors are going to use their lawyers to make this go away. But if that is true, then that's fucked.
Yeah.
Because it didn't look like much.
No, and it won't be. I think at the end of the day, like it's going to end up being just something that we forget about almost.
No, I agree. So do you want to turn it over to baseball now, or what do you think?
Yeah.
Big deal happened, eh, Jake?
Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't think it was going to happen there for a few days. I mean, there was a few details that had to be worked out, I guess, between the Twins, the Dodgers, the Red Sox. Now, as of the recording on Monday, the Jock Peterson deal also wasn't happening with the Angels, and that to me is a kick in the pants for Angels fans, because on one hand, before the trade, you think, okay, we're actually going to get Jock Peterson, who's a great outfielder, and then as Jock Peterson, you say, okay, I'm going to be traded. I guess I've accepted this, but the trade's called off. I think it was actually on Los Angeles, like the Angels' end, more than the Dodgers, because for whatever reason, I'm not sure. But it's weird now that Jock Peterson's going back to the Dodgers, not being traded, because A, he's going to a franchise that was about to trade him, and B, they just got Mookie Betts in the outfield.
Yeah, well, like what's next for Jock Peterson?
That's kind of weird. I think Jock Peterson's a good player. I think he has a lot of potential. I mean, we seen him last year in the home run derby against Vladdy Big Butt. Third time mentioned, I think, in our whole podcast.
The man with the trunk.
The man with the trunk.
Vladdy weighs 260. Ass weighs 60.
I'd bump that to like 80.
Jock can hit home runs. He doesn't have the batting average to keep up, but it's a really weird situation they have with Jock Peterson.
They gotta get rid of him.
It's weird when a deal like that gets stalled, especially the Mookie Betts one. I guess the Los Angeles, the Angels Dodgers trade didn't even get stalled; it got completely called off. But the Mookie Betts one getting stalled because of Brusdar Graterol not being what the Red Sox thought he was going to be. Kind of weird. However, I know I was thinking that San Diego might pick up Mookie Betts. Obviously, that's off the table now. But while they didn't get Mookie Betts, they did pick up someone that's actually pretty good for their bullpen this week. They got a reliever, Emilio Pagan, from the Tampa Bay Rays. And Emilio Pagan was great last year. He was good in fantasy, but he was also great in regular baseball. Like, watching him, he was throwing heat. He was really effective for Tampa Bay. And to add him to an already good bullpen in San Diego, where they have Kirby Yates as a closer, that's a good looking bullpen now. And honestly, if Manny Machado has a good season, the San Diego Padres could actually maybe
still got
make a little. Yeah, they've got
Tatis.
They could actually make a pretty good case on being semi-competitive this year. I wouldn't call them competitive because they're the Padres. Something's going to go wrong, but they're looking better, to say the least. Another thing that happened this week as a Yankees fan, James Paxton out for 3 to 4 months because of a cyst on his spine. He got that removed in surgery, and they're saying 3 to 4 months, but I've also heard that he might be back in an April return, so that's not as bad as being a May, even into June return on the timeline. I think the Yankees actually have enough depth this year, though, with the Garrett Cole acquisition and Jordan Montgomery being healthy, who wasn't healthy last year, to add as the fifth man, because we thought we were going to trade J.A. Happ. And it was weird because Yankees fans always were like, okay, trade J.A. Happ once we get Garrett Cole. He never got traded. And nobody really knew why. And now we're kind of finding out, okay, they knew about this cyst on James Paxton's back, on his spine. And that's why he never got traded. So he's going to take the fourth spot in the rotation. It's likely going to be Jordan Montgomery for 5. I think Jordan Montgomery is a great piece to throw in there. Plus, they've got young pieces in Clark Schmidt, who I picked up in fantasy. Looks great in the future, Clark Schmidt. Also, Davy Garcia, bit younger. He's probably due in about 2021, 2022. I'd bet rather than this year. I think Clark might be up mid-season this year for the Yankees. Davey, he's short, but he throws heat. Both of these are good fantasy pitchers to pick up because I think that they both have the capability to actually become starting pitchers in the future, because the Yankees rotation is not going to last forever. We have Garrett Cole right now, but we have Masahiro Tanaka, who's in his mid-30s. We have Severino, who's going to be around for a while, but we have J.A. Happ, like I said. There are going to be some moving pieces in the future, and rotations never last. They never last longer than 2-3 years if you're lucky to keep the exact same rotation. It never works out that way. So these two names, Clark Schmidt, Davy Garcia, are going to be good pitchers that the Yankees can choose from to form a competent rotation this year. I think it's going to be even better than last year. Hopefully they don't really get injuries that plagued them like they did last year. Hopefully that is a thing of the past. We got really unlucky. We've already had one with James Paxton, like I said, being out until maybe April. So I think Although the Paxton injuries is kind of a bummer, I think we have the rotational depth there, and I think that the rookies that are in the system can come up and make a difference.
I think you're pretty set.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate
we paid for Garrett Cole.
Do you?
Yeah.
But do you think, like, I was one of the fans that was on Jacob knows I was on the trade Hap train because I thought you could still get something for it. Do you think they'll trade him once Paxton comes back? Or do you think they're going to move him to more of a reliever, closer kind of role?
I really think there's both of what you just said could easily come true. Like
the Jays tried him as a reliever. It didn't really go.
It didn't really go very well. But if he came in as middle relief, the setup guy pitched 1 inning for the closer, I think they could put him in there if he comes back and has a good season, like as a starter to open the season, and kind of gets his confidence back. He could pitch relief late season while they go on their postseason run. Maybe let some of the younger guys like Severino, Montgomery take a few more starts, get their bearings before the real playoffs start. I think we could either see him get moved before the trade deadline in late summer.
Probably just ship him back to the Jays.
Honestly, the
I can see it.
Jays would take him right now too.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
the
Because
thing.
when we originally traded for him, all the talk was that he was just going to go back and sign with the Jays.
Yeah.
And he didn't, but I could easily see them bringing him back.
Jay Happ likes
We'll
the
take
Jays.
him tomorrow.
He
Good.
likes the Jays, and he'd be a great veteran guy to actually instill some confidence into the guys that are
100%.
coming up from the minors.
Yep.
Because the Jays actually have some good pitching prospects coming up, and they will play them late this summer.
That's
So-
why I think in 5 years max, the Jays are going to be a solid team again.
They're going to be a solid team.
I think they're going to take Red Sox
Next year.
They're gonna want to fast forward their timeline because Ryu isn't going to be
He's a
the same
4-year.
pitcher forever.
Yeah.
On a 4-year deal, he's already in his 30s. Like, they're going to want to get Bo Bichette, Vladdy, Kevin Biggio, all the players that they have in the
Danny Jansen.
minors. Yeah, they're going to want them all opening up and exploding at the same time. And when you have Ryu on a 4-year, it's got to be like 2 years.
Well, I don't think Bo's just going to constantly explode. So you're never going to be worried about him.
Yeah, Bo is an enigma. He's not going to regress anytime soon, so you're safe there. But
I think the Jays have a real breakout 2021 season.
I honestly see in
they could surprise some people in 2021.
2 years, we all collectively sit here and say Bo Bichette is the best player in baseball. That would not surprise me at all.
If Mike Trout keeps up these numbers, man, it might be tough. But I agree. I really
Best
think
player in
that
the division.
Bo is definitely going to be one of the great players that we're going to see just rise.
Bo's going to be like the next Blue Jay legend,
Yeah.
unless he leaves.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think he will, because the city of Toronto loves that man.
Yeah. They love Vladdy too.
Well, because they, his dad was an Expo, and
Yeah.
Expos are gone. Canadian pride sits somewhere, but they love them both. They were both big prospects, but like,
If one of them goes, Vladdy, please leave.
but I don't. Yeah, you don't get rid of a franchise guy like Bo.
I do think Vladdy will be better this year because they found holes in his swing last year.
Yep.
And he just came up last year too, so you got to take that into account. He hasn't had a full season under his belt, so I think he's really gonna work hard in the off season to build his swing into something that can actually hit a few ground balls. It's not always swinging for the fences, because if he keeps going on the track that he's going, he'll end up like a Jose Bautista who swings for a home run every time he comes to the plate, and
it's
that's
just-
not what you want.
No, because then it's either home run or pop fly,
Yeah.
and that's just a mess.
I'd also like to talk about a bigger issue that's kind of evolved. Obviously, we've talked before about the Astros. We've talked before about how much the cheating has evolved and how they've been punished, how they've been handling the situation. The Wall Street Journal just released an article this past week that kind of brings more information to light. And I got to say, from what I've seen that came out in the article, it's pretty shocking, even despite knowing all the stuff we knew before.
Well, because it enhanced it, like
it enhanced it because it tied the front office to the crime that they committed, in that they actually built a program called Operation Codebreaker. Pretty much, they called it Codebreaker.
Yeah, this was all leaked through an intern to the Wall Street Journal, because ESPN had then like shared the article. I think it was Friday night. Yeah, it was Friday.
I think.
It's Friday night when we saw it. And basically, like Jake said, it was run out of Microsoft Excel, I think the article said. The intern claims that the front office knew, but the front office is claiming that they didn't know it was shady. And this is the big thing. Me and Jacob were like real shocked when the article announced it was used at away games.
Home and away, which before it was specifically a home field advantage times 10, pretty much.
I believe the quote in the article was at an away games, like it was either the front office, like, or GM would go out and look at some of the people in like the film room and say, "Are you guys code breaking?"
It's weird.
It's ridiculous.
It's weird that it comes out now too, because the punishment's obviously already been handed down, and you can't help but just keep going back to the same old thing and saying, why the hell wasn't the punishment more severe? Why the hell are the players not being punished as well?
Because to do it in an away game as a player, you can't now play, oh, the front office did it. If you willingly were doing this at away games,
yeah,
that means you knew and you were okay with it,
and then,
which we all assumed, but is now like proven. They can't deny it.
To sit in front of a camera like AJ Hinch did in this exclusive interview he did in the past week.
Yeah.
I don't know when it was done. It was done sometime last week, and he sits in front of a camera for an hour and a half in this exclusive interview and pretty much lies through his teeth and dodges every single question except one where he answered that he busted 2 monitors that had something to do with the sign stealing relay process in the tunnel where they were walking to the clubhouse and stuff. They had monitors set up there apparently, and he busted 2 of them and said he was against it or something. But all the questions that asked the specifics of the code breaking operation, like what part did you have in it, how much did you know, who knew, were you against it in this way, that way, he pretty much just dodged the question and said, look, the MLB did their investigation. They found what they found. Move on.
Like, man, you've already been fired. Just fucking admit that you fucked up and spill the beans. Like,
he doesn't want to get the spill the beans.
He doesn't want to get the players incriminated, and he wants to get hired again.
I don't think
he's not going to get hired in the major leagues. He might get hired in the minor leagues if they're fucking crazy. Maybe in like a high A team who's deep down in the minors, they might hire him. But other than that, I really can't see him landing a job anywhere in like a AAA team.
It just like
doesn't make sense.
Like cheating in any sport bothers me, but like the fact that they all like openly deny it. Like I remember AJ Hinch was like, when they asked me, he's like, "Well, what do you think? We're stupid?" And then they found out they did it. And the way the players are acting, like Bregman sat there and said the MLB did their thing, and Jose Altuve said, like, was saying how they were like now like underdogs and how you'll see us in the World Series.
Yeah, they have
again.
a chip
like
on their sholdor.
Shit.
You have a chip on your shoulder because you got caught for cheating.
Like, that's not a chip on your shoulder. That's being a piece of shit.
Yeah, you're an asshole.
Like, to win against the odds is to have some unfair advantage put on you. To use an unfair advantage to win a World Series and then be found out to be cheaters, and then saying that you have the chip on your shoulder, you're the one that's being disadvantaged by this whole process. No, you disadvantaged the whole fucking league when you cheated. So to say that you're the underdogs now, it's complete bullshit, and I can't wait for the first few games against the Yankees, because I know for a fact that they're going to get on first base pretty easy, but that's because they're going to get hit by pitches.
Man, why do I feel like CC Sabathia is going to pull some like bring me in for like a 3-day
I would love
because
to see
he was
back.
he was literally into interviews And he was literally like,
hitting them in the neck.
He was literally like quoted as saying like, "Fuck those guys." And CC's known for like, if you being one of CC's boys, CC's old school, he'll being you. So I could see like 3-day to walk up, throw a pitch at each of them, and just leave.
Yeah, sign me to a 1-day contract when you play the Astros. I will throw heat. I will break my leg that put me out of baseball. I will literally do anything to throw one heavy-handed pitch at Alex Bregman and leave. That is all CC wants. Because if
hate
CC
Alex Bregman, man.
If CC knew that this shit went on and he wasn't retiring, imagine if CC was healthy and he stayed in the league for another year. Can you imagine?
I think the Yankees would put him in. I don't think they'd put him in.
No, they'd have to sit him.
Yeah.
And CC, like, God help us if Alex Bregman said something to him or said something to his teammates, because when he got
punch in the mouth,
when he got suspended for throwing at players in that Rays game, it wasn't even to the extent of this. It was just a rivalry that they had from the playoffs. Can you imagine if Alex Bregman had the nerve to say something?
He would too.
He would be stomping out of the bullpen or stomping out
Alex
wherever
Bregman's
the hell
the
he
Logan
is.
Paul of the MLB.
He really is.
He's such a bum. He's such a bum.
That is true. But like, I guess, well, we're sticking on the topic of cheating. We found like out the other day, like this is like, I guess, a small thing to level into hockey. Well, we mentioned last week about the Arizona Coyotes testing players before the combine.
Yes.
They have been found out to have, if it's true, tested
they're
20.
believed to be. Believed
if it's
to be
true.
20.
And it's, what was it, 250,000? It was 250,000 a person.
Yeah.
So you did the math, and that would be
It's
a
$5 million.
To a franchise
We go to
that's
an art school. That's impressive.
to a franchise that's already in debt. Do you think are the Quebec Nordiques coming back?
So if this is found out to be true, if it is, they said at least, it's believed to be at least 20 players that they have tested before the combine. So at least $5 million, they think the Arizona Coyotes could take a haircut from.
Somebody call the Hartford Whalers, boys.
Like, no, like, all jokes aside, this is something that could literally, as sad as it is, bankrupt the franchise and force them to relocate. Like, even though they have a good team this year, it's crazy. Like, they have Taylor Hall, yeah. They have
Phil Kessel.
They have Phil Kessel.
Hot dog.
They have a good team this year. They have Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They have a good team that could actually like make it far in the playoffs.
They could make a playoff run for the first time in like 10 years.
They're just sitting out right now, but they could easily be in.
And I've always kind of rooted for Arizona because I found them to be this kind of
they've always
obscure team.
They've always been that shitty team that you're like, oh wow.
Who thinks of a hockey team from Arizona?
Once they got Taylor Hall, like whoever got Taylor Hall, unless it was Pittsburgh, I was going to be like, hey, you know what? New Jersey's not making the playoffs. I'll root for them. But like,
after this comes out, it's weird.
Like, it's a very like.
How did you expect to not get caught?
It's a very dumb.
I hope they do get caught because let's see the Nordiques come back. Baby.
It's a very dumb thing.
The Quebec purchase team, the Quebec relocation team is just smacking their lips. They're saying, "Oh my God!"
They're over here.
Oh, this could solve the Seattle.
Somebody come bring me my team.
Oh yeah,
run me my team.
Somebody get me my money. I'm buying this bitch. Like seriously, like. They're telling the contractors in Quebec City, listen here, you better get that stadium built by the end of the season, buddy. I don't care what renovations you're doing to this stadium.
We'll flood
fixing
it.
up
We'll
for
make it like a backdoor ring.
Yeah.
Just make something.
Whatever relocation franchise might come
Quebec
here.
ODRs.
It just got fast forwarded by about 5 years. If this is found out to be true.
Hell yeah.
Because I sent Nigel an article early this week, and I don't know if you've seen it, Greg, but I'm pretty sure from what I could gather from it, it looks like in the 2019-2020 season, they could be breaking, even-ish. But in like the 2018-2019 season, they took like a $30 million loss. And they're getting fined.
They're heading north.
Arizona's just not a hockey state.
It's not.
It's like a warm climate. They like their football and they like their baseball.
But they don't have an NFL team, do they?
They have the Cardinals, Greg.
Oh, right. Oh, my God. Someone shoot me in
Go
the
down.
head.
Go down to Scottsdale, Arizona for baseball.
Oh, my God.
and tell me this is a hockey state. It's not.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks are also straight trash.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, they just got
They'll
mad.
never, never win, and they'll always be irrelevant.
they're gonna be a fringe
What did the
playoff team this
Diamondbacks
year.
do to you?
I once watched the Diamondbacks play at Fenway Park.
Oh, that's what they did.
Felix Dubron, a guy who got sent down to Double-A a mere week after I watched him play live, threw a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Paul Goldschmidt beat it with a cracker, just like little single down the right field line and broke it. And then
rough.
I think the Red Sox won 3-1.
Not bad.
Awful game to see.
But to continue with the NHL, I think the trade deadline's a week away. Might be 2 weeks at max.
Well, it's always, I don't know. It's free agent frenzy day is usually like March. It's usually like
Free agent
first
frenzy. That's July.
or no.
I think the
We're
trade
all
deadline.
we're all
or trade
fucking up.
deadline.
Yeah,
Trade deadline, man.
I think it's a week or two.
Yeah, well, the Penguins just made a trade.
Yeah. Do you want to quickly go into that, Greg?
Oh yeah, I don't know what to think about it. I've been thinking about it ever since I
was
saw
it?
it on my phone. So they got from Minnesota.
They got Zucker, didn't they?
They got Jason Zucker.
Jason Zucker's actually
He's a good player.
he's a solid player.
Why
But
is Minnesota
they gave up.
trading away forwards?
Yeah, they gave up Alex Galchenyuk.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
One of our top tier prospects, baller for Team Canada, the World Juniors.
Oh.
Kalen Addison, and a 2020 first rounder.
Wow.
But I think we gave up too much for Zucker.
I think he gave up too much for Zucker too, but it's nice to see a trade go down.
They're winning now. The Penguins, they want to win now. I understand that.
Well,
but
Crosby's
damn.
getting up there. Malkin's getting up there.
Their window is like 3 years. 5
100%.
years.
Like, Crosby's still one of the best players in the league, but, like, they're getting old.
their window is 2 years, man. Like,
You think so?
I
'Cause
really
they're still
think
putting
so.
up those numbers. And
I know
Geinzel's turned into
they're putting
player.
up those numbers, but like, I really think, because I think the Capitals window, even if Ovechkin re-signs for another 4-year deal, is this year, maybe next year. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's the same with Crosby. Maybe 3 years for the Pens, because they've always been a competent team, but I really think the Capitals.
I think Mike Sullivan's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
He is.
I think they have good management.
But along with the trade deadline, one of the biggest names, the Toronto Maple Leafs right now are holding their playoff spot, but everybody knows that is a forward-heavy team that needs defense and a backup goalie. And the name that's been going around a lot is that they were kind of shopping Kasperi Kapanen.
Yes.
And there's actually talk, because Minnesota's defensively fine. They need offense, which is why I like that Penguins trade for them. But there's talk that they want to shop Matt Dumba, and there's talk that could be a straight trade. Kasperi Kapanen for Matt Dumba.
You know what? A name I've heard a lot of talk about is Chris Kreider.
Yeah.
Chris Kreider on the Rangers. The Rangers are not doing anything in the playoffs this year. Plus,
Chris Kreider has been on the trade block.
I know.
For like the past 5 years.
His whole-
always talked about going to the Penguins.
Yeah.
And then shit's just never gotten done. And I would love to see him in the yellow and black.
Minnesota's only 4 points off of the second wild card spot.
I could see Chris Kreider staying in the division and this actually going through to the Penguins this time. Because if the Penguins are in win now mode, like you said, Chris Kreider, they'd be stacking.
If they send a pick along with Kreider, I think if you put Zucker for Kreider in the pick.
I honestly, it wouldn't. Maybe that's what Zucker's for.
Yeah.
Another
Never know.
name that's been going around a lot, and this is kind of funny because he's on a 1-year deal. Ilya Kovalchuk's been on, I hate that name. My heart hurts every time I say that. But anyways, he's been on a hot streak. Do you think the Canadians keep him and try to make the playoffs? Or get rid of him? Because they're not crazy far out. Do you think
They're not
the Canadians and playoffs don't belong in the same sentence, man?
They're not
Carey Price's
crazy
old
far
ass.
out. They're not crazy far out, but they're not crazy far in
I
either.
I could see also a team like Minnesota making a move for Kovalchuk. But my only worry is because he wasn't playing well in LA, but he's fit in the Montreal system, and I think he's averaging a point a game.
I will say this, Nige. You were talking about Toronto, and they're holding their playoff spot now. They did make a trade the other day, and they got Jack Campbell, who's a good goaltender, good backup, and I've always ragged on Toronto. I always rag on Toronto.
Someone needs to get Freddie Anderson some help.
But Frederik Anderson needs a competent backup, and I think that Jack Campbell could be it because he has played.
Though, bro.
They do need defense. They didn't really get any defense in the trade from what I've heard. I think they got forward Kyle Clifford. And
Clifford's not awful.
they traded Trevor Moore. So, what are the LA Kings doing in that deal? They get Trevor Moore.
Yeah.
What's Trevor Moore going to do in LA?
Another
The Kings are just being the Kings, man.
The Kings are 10 years away from being 10 years away. That's
thing,
what they are.
I was reading an article today, and Vegas is looking for some backup goaltending because Marc-Andre Fleur's not doing as hot. And there's rumors that they might try for Corey Crawford. Chicago's not going to be in the playoffs. Corey Crawford's not as good as he used to be, but he's still serviceable as a backup. There's talk that they make that move because both Chicago's goalies are UFAs, and I don't think they re-sign Corey Crawford. So why not try and ship him up?
I wouldn't say they're out of a playoff spot. No, crazier things have happened, and they're 4 points out of a wild card spot right now in the West.
They're
like at the same place where Minnesota is.
Only reason I can see him going is because both of the goalies are UFA, the unrestricted free agents.
Yeah.
So they can't tag him.
They're not going to.
And they're not going to re-sign Crawford. I don't think.
No, and if Chicago does make the playoffs, they're not going to win anything in the playoffs.
So why not ship Crawford out to a team like Vegas? Get something for him.
We have said that you can make the playoffs and do anything, but Chicago, even though they've been a tough team, like a weird tough team this year, I really don't think they could get it done in the playoffs because they just don't have the depth.
If we're going to talk about goalies, I'm not trying to be a homer and talk about the Penguins so much, but Matt Murray, who we all thought was the future of the Penguins.
What the fuck happened to that guy?
Right. But Tristan Jarry was an all-star this year.
Yeah.
So what the hell's going to go on with the Penguins goalie situation?
I don't know, because you could trade, like...
I think
Murray, teams can get desperate for Matt Murray. I completely agree with you. I don't know, because... he stole Marc-Andre Fleury's job. Mm-hmm. And then Marc-Andre Fleury went ape shit when he went to Vegas, but now age I think is catching up with Marc-Andre because he's not playing as hot this year. But I could see them shipping Matt Murray.
Well, they got to pick Jarry or Murray, and I think Jarry is the best.
I don't know who I'm trying to think of what contenders. You know who actually I could see? Florida. Florida needs goaltending.
Side by side save percentage comparison. I just looked it up here. Matt Murray, 900 save percentage. Jarry, 929.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Like I could see
that's your choice right there.
Like we all agree Florida's sneaky good, but goaltending's holding them back. I could really see a Matt Murray trade for Florida. I think that could be what puts them over the edge.
Yeah.
Cuz what would we get back though? You
could probably get one like a backup goaltender and like a probably.
But would they trade a backup goaltender to get a goaltender?
But unless you're bringing a guy up,
you'd be doing
we're gonna want a lot for Matt Murray.
Yeah,
we're gonna want a lot.
Like as bad as he has been this year,
I could see Florida making a lot
for him.
I could. I don't know how much Florida's got to give, but I can't imagine if Florida. I could see. Honestly, if Florida can get a goalie, I could see a cup run. That team is good.
It'd be a weird cup run though.
But I could see it. I could.
They have Bobrovsky.
And
now.
But he's shit in the bed.
He's shit in the bed, Nige, but I think it's just an adjustment thing. Like,
what about like Calgary?
There's talks that they ship out. Who's their goalie? I can't think of it.
Rittich.
Yeah, there's talk because they straight traded with Edmonton.
I don't know if
goalies.
it's Riddick or Rittich. I think it might be Riddick actually.
But there's talks that they ship them.
Wait, what about Edmonton?
They could also go for a goalie because Smith is.
You really want Smith? Mike Smith?
No, I say they give us a player.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if they got Connie, I think I'd go die.
That's hilarious.
Could you imagine?
I don't know.
I could see it being for something like.
I don't think Calgary's in because they have Cam Talbot and Riddick, and I don't think they're really in the market for.
No, but Edmonton, I could see them trying.
Yeah, if Edmonton wanted to actually make a case for being in the playoffs, they can't do it with Mike Smith. They can't do it with Mike Smith.
Give us like a solid first round pick.
They'll trade you the rights to Niall Yakupov.
His KHL rights with some
Not
not
lie.
even KHL probably.
Like,
probably in like the Super League.
If
like
any
the
of you are
league under
ever
it.
bored, go look at Nile Yakupov's Instagram. It is some real funny but weird. It's weird. It's funny.
Well, he's a weird guy, man.
No, there was literally like a video of him
down.
like I think it was like he's beating like a piece of meat with a hammer with an oven mitt on or something like that. Like it's weird.
What?
Yeah. I saw a video of it on Bar Down and I was like
Beaten his never mind. Okay.
Well, isn't that like a tool used like to make the meat more tender? Or something?
I got no idea. Like it was something else.
You don't really have any answers for Neil Yakupov.
No,
so.
another player, like I saw this today. The Sharks are shitting the bed. Mm-hmm. Their core is getting old. Mm-hmm. Do they get rid of Jumbo Joe?
This is not happening, Nigel. I know you want to bring this up, but I cannot see the Sharks would literally commit marketing and sales suicide. Think of this: you're a San Jose Sharks hockey fan.
Who? They
exactly,
exist?
exactly. Their fan
They're
base,
like Arizona
their fan base
fans.
is already small. How many of them own a jersey that isn't Patrick Marleau or Joe Thornton? Maybe
Joe
a Hurdle,
Pavelski.
maybe a Joe
there's
Pavelski, maybe an Evgeny Nabokov, but that's it.
There's talks of one of those two going.
But
And there's talks of it, like the only reason they think it might go Marleau over Thornton is because Joe's in a...
Marlowe's not moving. He just got there.
But Thornton's on a, he's got a no trade clause. So Thornton have to waive it himself.
Thornton
But it was interesting.
would want to retire a Shark.
I agree. I don't think he'll go, but like crazier shit's happening.
It is weird to think about though. Like I get what you're saying, like bringing it up, because if he did move, it would be weird.
Joe Thornton to the New Jersey Devils. They win the Stanley Cup. Just kidding, Nigel.
Well, the Devils will bring me to the last
Woke up
player
from
that
his
me
dream.
and Jacob both. I think he's going. Jacob thinks. Well, I think a forward desperate team like Minnesota might make a move for Wayne Simmons.
It's possible.
Because like he's not having a bad season. He's just on a shitty team.
Yeah,
Devils fucking suck.
Wayne Simmons was effective in Philadelphia,
Oh yeah,
but
man.
I'm not sure if
Giroux and
that's
the boys.
because of him
Like-
being in the Philly system, because Philly has a different.
He's in a system with no support right now.
Yeah,
Wayne Simmons would do some damage with the Bruins, but I don't even want to
His
see
his
that
biggest
happen, dude.
support right now
Yeah,
is
he
Kyle
would.
Palmieri and Nico Hischier. Like he's not getting. He's an old man with he's an old man in a young boys club. So I can see him going for the Devils to get some young prospects or something. I think like he's not going to go as a first liner, but he could definitely be like a nice complimentary third liner on somebody's team. I'd have no problems with Wayne Simmons going. It was a signing. He hasn't played bad, but he just hasn't been what we needed. And we're not doing anything anytime soon. May as well.
I think another player on your team, Nige, on the Devils, Sami Vatanen.
Yeah.
Like if you want to kind of like blow out your defense and get in some young guys, you're gonna have to do like a top to bottom. Because what you got this year after free agency, you got a team that was capable but never lived up to its potential, and then you moved Taylor Hall. So right now, to save yourselves time in the rebuild process, what you have to do this trade deadline is build
Shed.
your defense, shed salary, and build
That's
young
why
defense.
I would really love if the Devils made a move for Matt Dumba because he's 25. He's real young. He last year was leading the defenseman in scoring. He's not doing as well this year, but he's still I still think he's very good. He's very young. And I want the Devils to make a splash move because we're not doing anything. And they got to realize that. Andy Green's going to retire Devil because he's old as shit. PK Subban, I hope he turns it around, but he's really underperforming. And the rest of our defense is like a revolving door. You just push and you're fucking through.
From what I've read that is going on with the Devils right now, Vatanen and Andy Green are both unrestricted free agents after this year. I don't think Andy Green necessarily is going to move because he's the captain of your team and he's a veteran on your team. But I really think that you're going to get another defenseman that can actually you build a defensive line with. Also, I know not a lot of people have talked about him in a long time because he was almost a draft bust that went to the Oilers. There's been a few of those, like Neil Yakupov was one of them. But Jesse Puljujarvi, I don't know if any of you guys recognize that name. I'm sure you've heard Puljujarvi before.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
But he's actually probably a decent player to get moved. I mean, Edmonton doesn't really need him. And if they get a rental for Puljujarvi to make a cup run, to make some sort of playoff run, to get Connor McDavid back into the playoffs, like once.
Shit. Murray for
More?
Puljujarvi, Cassian in the first.
Honestly? Well, I just signed Cassian to quite a big deal. I don't think he's leaving.
He's on the trade block.
I still wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Another thing, Ottawa's looking to move. It's Sean. I can't say the rest of his name. Is Jean.
Jean-Gabriel Pajot.
Yeah, they're looking to ship him out. He's on the block.
My Acadian just like flew out of me.
So
Yeah, Pajot was on the trade block. I know Georgiev in the Rangers organization's on the trade block. I'd find that weird though, because
He's a solid guy.
the Kings moving on. He's old. They're not going to win a cup with him, sadly. I don't think
No.
they're just not going to have the team in time. They have Shesterkin. I really don't know why they wouldn't have a double Russian goalie tandem there. I mean, I guess they don't need him necessarily.
Shesterkin has been going really well.
If Shesterkin actually makes something of himself in New York, I guess they won't really need Georgiev. But if you look at a Greiss situation, like last year they had Greiss and Robin Lehner in New York on the Islanders as a tandem, and they kind of rotated back and forth and shared the weight. It got them to the postseason. If they had a
Swept
Shesterkin
the Pens.
Georgiev tandem in New York, I think that could
Man.
really help them.
The young goalies this year, like Elvis Merzlikins and Shesterkin
And Ilya Samsonov
and Ilya
Washington,
Samsonov.
they're all
Even-
foreign goaltenders too.
Like, this is a homer take, but even like second year, like Mackenzie Blackwood.
Blackwood's playing well.
Like,
He has been playing well, and he was a good pick for you guys when you made it.
I
so.
like Blackwood. I feel bad for him because he faces the most odd man advantage in the league, and his goals against averages, I think, hovering just under 3. But the dude also, on an average night, saves roughly 40 shots. Like, he's one of the best fantasy goalies you can get. Because, again, that's 40. And on this, like, I know it's only a 2-game win streak, but 2 straight shutouts. He's been on a... And both of those, he took more than 35 shots.
yeah. I don't doubt Blackwood's good, man.
Like, if we can get him some defensive help, I'm hoping for, like, not as good as Marty Brodeur, but, like, the Devils have always been a build a strong goaltender and go. And if we can get back to that form, it would be really nice. Because we haven't since 2014.
I think a player that could be moved, Zach Bogosian.
Ooh. He could, yeah.
I mean, yeah, has he been disappointing this year? Obviously. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been injured like most of the year. But
Like all
I
of the
really
Columbus Blue
think
Jackets?
I think what did the Sabres have to lose? They say, okay,
Nothing.
the Zach Bogosian project was a failed project. We get a pick, we get something for him, a prospect, and move on. Like, what are the Sabres doing? I'm not really sure, but I feel like the Sabres could have a few pieces that they put up to auction and say, okay, we're going to try this again.
Yeah.
We're going to try a rebuild again, even though we're already in one.
So that's about it for the NHL trade deadline. So just going to do a short little segment here on our other sport, which is football. And before we get into the big thing, which is the XFL, I was just, for fantasy next year, I had looked over the rookie class from this year, and I have guys to grab, which means draft, and guys I think you should avoid. So when I say names, you guys can either agree, disagree. We can get into a debate. There's three obvious ones, a couple obvious ones from the grab. I'm going to get out of the way. Kyler,
Yep.
Josh Jacobs,
Yep.
DK,
Yep.
AJ Brown.
Yep.
Some of the guys that might get some questioning. Noah Fant.
Yes.
He and Drew Lock went on a tear.
There was like
Another
3
name.
games that he went over 100 yards.
And Greg's going to like this. Drew Lock. Drew Lock went 4-1 as a starter. But, like, it's not going to get worse. Cortland Sutton's proving to be a solid wide receiver. Noah Fant, I think, now that
pick him up, but I pick him up late.
I think Noah Fant's going to have a better season now that he has not Joe Flacco.
I think Greg has probably the right take on Drew Lock. I mean, you
Like if
pick
I'm in
him
like
up.
if I'm in like the 18th round of my draft and he's still there, yeah, I take him.
Another one who came on real late, Deebo Samuel.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's proving himself. Miles Sanders, who started with fumble problems, but turned himself into like 4th place in Rookie of the Year candidates.
I would actually, yes, I'd pick up Miles Sanders because receiving yards.
And then a guy I picked up on free agency that no one seems to talk about, my final guy, Devin Singletary, running back of the Bills. Frank Gore's touches started degrading because Frank Gore is old as shit. And Devin Singletary played pretty well. If the Bills can keep this really good rebuild that they're going on, I think Devin Singletary is going to be one of the better backs in the league.
No, I completely agree. I mean, with the team that the Bills are, compromising themselves, like they're composing a great team.
If they can land Greg Olsen, Greg Olsen has gone with, he's talked to the Redskins, the Seahawks,
to the Bills,
and the Bills.
Yeah.
I could see the Redskins going because of him and Ron Rivera, but if the Bills can get him and then draft a young tight end to sit behind him. Another guy, now to go to who I'm saying to avoid. Now, this is a big name right off the bat, Hollywood Brown.
Just because he didn't work out for you last year,
No, but I'm saying, he had a great first couple games, but the production,
Well, look at it this way: the Ravens run a ground pound, middle of the field, tight end heavy offense, and Hollywood Brown's a speed receiver. Sorry,
he's great for those play actions, but outside of that, he just doesn't get the production.
Yeah, I don't draft him.
Another one, N'Keal Harry. Didn't have, even when he came back from injury, didn't have much.
Who the Patriots quarterback is.
Didn't do much. I wouldn't. Daniel Jones.
Listen, I might draft Daniel Jones.
You see, you like a lot of people like to rag on Daniel Jones. You're one of them, Nudge. But Daniel Jones isn't really undraftable, in my opinion. I think he could be drafted late, but he could be drafted.
Is because fantasy turnovers hurt.
They do hurt.
To put it into perspective,
but he's not a Jameis Winston out here.
No, but including fumbles and interceptions, in just 12 games, Daniel Jones had 23 turnovers. Because he had 18 fumbles and 11 lost and 12 picks.
I still think he improves next season.
Yeah, and Saquon comes back, you get more of a balance.
Yeah.
Part of me says yes, but I still don't think I would pull the trigger. TJ Hawkinson.
He kind of blew it this year. He had 3 good weeks at the start of the year.
He had a really good opening game, but then the next Gronk was not. Of course, he's playing for the Lions. I wouldn't draft anything except for Matt Stafford on the Lions, but that's another. Another name, Terry McLaurin. The minute Dwayne Haskins started throwing to him, things went to shit.
Yeah. I'd like to say Terry McLaurin has so much potential, but it's just the team that he's on.
Case Keenum and Alex Smith, Terry McLaurin, draft.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing, you just don't know who's going to throw him the ball. And this might piss Jake off, but my final name is David Montgomery.
No, that doesn't piss me off. I understand it. I completely understand it.
What about McCole Hardman?
I would take McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
He is a speeds.
Take McCole Hardman.
I take any wide receivers in the Chiefs offense because Patrick Mahomes, they don't run the ball.
I really don't disagree with that, Nige, though, because even though David Montgomery got the touches because Trubisky,
Matt Nagy would fucking use him.
Trubisky couldn't throw, even in times where Trubisky's throw time was at a complete minimum. David Montgomery didn't get the fantasy points that he should have gotten.
No, I pass on Montgomery.
But there were a few games where he got 23 points, and I'm like, holy shit, he scored 3 touchdowns.
He has the potential, but
he has the potential,
Matt
but
Nagy
just not in
doesn't
Chicago.
Seem like he knows what he wants to do, whether he wants to be a run team. Matt Nagy wants to throw the ball, but Matt Nagy doesn't have the fucking quarterback to do it.
Matt Nagy wants to sell Trubisky. That's what he wants to do.
Well, he benched him, and he got in shit for it. They claimed injury, but he benched him against the Rams.
Well, wouldn't you?
Shit. Well, and here's why.
You have to assert yourself as a coach sometime, and Matt Nagy's trying to do that as best as he can,
and the GM
he just
won't
can't.
let him.
Yeah. He just can't.
Because apparently he got scolded for it because the GM doesn't want to admit that there's a chance that he possibly failed.
I bet you a large sum of money that we pick up someone like Nick Foles this year. Literally someone that will mesh way better with Matt Nagy and who he can somewhat put his trust in. He just can't trust Trubisky. Trubisky can't throw the ball over 10 yards.
No.
He'll give you.
He can't throw left either. He struggles, like, he can throw like with his right arm to the right fine, but he struggles coming cross body.
He'll give you a toss. That's that's the best thing he can do. And sometimes he'll have these games where he's shit in the first half. He'll come out and he'll throw these weird ass long passes that. Well, why didn't you do that when you had the opportunity before?
Look at that game he played against Dallas, where he looked like
he looked good.
He looked like
decent.
He looked like a
mediocre
good pick.
Yeah, I know.
But
he looked like an average QB that could actually make it work. But he just has a confidence issue.
Bit of a hot take here, but I guess moving in where I could see Mitchell Trubisky here in a few years, the XFL had its opening weekend, and honestly,
that was a good one.
I'm kind of into it. Before we get on the people calling bandwagons, not that any of you will, I'm stating St. Louis Battlehawks. What's up? I was a big win over Dallas, by the way. This is surprising for a Dallas football team to still be around in the winter, but like big. The rule changes are interesting. The 25-second play clock stops all the horse shit. I really enjoy the kickoff to promote returns. The kicker's back on the 50, but the 30. Like,
you know how high scoring your game would be if that was your kickoff sequence.
Yeah,
guys were like getting to the 50-yard line.
Well, because
every return.
Well, because it's ensuring that guys don't like get destroyed. Because that's why the kickoff's dangerous. Because guys are running full tilt. But like, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that you're not allowed to punt out of bounds, so punts are returnable, and that players can't leave the line of scrimmage till the punt is kicked. So that gives the returner time. I enjoyed the extra points. Interesting, where
I do like that.
You score. You can take 1 point from the 2 points from the 5, or 3 points for the 10. So a 9-point game that's regularly a 2-score game.
I like that, but I don't like it in the NFL.
No, in the NFL, but like that's why I like the XFL. It's like you experiment. Also, I love the fact that video of the Battlehawks win is just dudes shotgunning beers. First game in, a guy projectile you can tell he was out drinking the night before. Multiple F-bombs. Like,
it's a rough league, but it was exciting. I watched the highlights from every game. Cardell Jones looks good.
It's none of
Cardell Jones
like,
looked good.
I hate the people that say it's not going. I love that it's not trying to compete with the NFL. It wants to be its own thing. It gives the guys that didn't make it a second chance to do what they want to do.
And then like Sammy Coates is there.
Like,
playing.
they're
really
having
think
fun.
It's like professional beer league. I mean, it's funny because it's in our name. Like, we're the Backroom Beer League, but it's professional beer
Replay
league.
officials are using Xbox controllers. The TV crew, they literally guy dropped the F-bomb and they bleeped after it. Like, you straight up heard them go, fuck. And then like 3 seconds later, the audio cut out.
You know what's just hilarious to me is when it's like the Patriots wide receiver like retirement home. Sammy Coates.
Like, are you gonna see Chris Hogan there soon?
Oh,
That's
maybe,
by the way, I saw a stat. He's the last wide receiver to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Because Travis Kelce caught the only touchdown.
Yeah.
The rest of them were Damian Williams and Raheem Mostert in this one, and then the one before it was Sony Michel who scored the only TD. That's nuts. In 2 Super Bowls, we haven't had a wide receiver catch a touchdown pass. But I think the XFL was really successful. One sad thing I found out today, they might be losing Pat McAfee because they've delegated him to a sideline role where he can't be himself. He has to ask permission to speak. And that's a real sin because Pat McAfee's like he's perfect for that league. His personality embodies what the XFL is. Go out there, have fun, smack some mouths. Like, that's the XFL is a lot like the NFL if they like let the players do what the players actually wanted to do. Like, they didn't, so much shield the good image. Like, I think the XFL will be a success. I don't think it'll ever compete with the NFL. I don't know. There's talk of it being a scouting league. I don't know if it'll ever be that.
I really don't think it will be.
But I think it independently, like Vince McMahon has admitted, he's put enough money into it that he will allow it to run.
Guys like RG3 going down there and like
he'll allow it for 3 years, even if it's in debt. He'll let it go for 3 years, and like social media loved it. Like the teams are on social media, crap talking to each other. It's fun.
I think it's it's weird because it's a league that if you mix the showmanship of the WWE and the NFL, like the NFL's play style, it's almost like you mix those two and you get the XFL. Like it's the production quality of the WWE, I guess, because you're having all these different things going on. Like, you know, Nigel said, the guys drinking beers, crushing beers like right after the game. Like it's kind of funny. It's like the entertainment value that you get from watching these clips like post game and stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, you're watching football.
I don't
in the off season.
I don't think it works in other sports.
See, that's going to lead into our debate. I'm not sure. I think it needs it has to be a contact sport. Like I could possibly see it going into hockey, because let's be real, hockey is like WWE mentality is in hockey. We just aren't allowed to see it. Like the guys are fighting. NHL players mic'd up
it's hilarious.
Are hilarious. I think.
Oh, there's some beauties in the NHL.
I want it to be a thing in, especially the NHL, but other leagues, because again, it allows these guys that like want to play football, but couldn't make the NFL and are done with college. It allows them to do what they want to do.
I know, it's called go to school.
Like
stop. Like your dream's over.
But like, let them have fun.
Like, no, there's no, like, I don't think it works for any other sport. My reasoning behind that is NHL, you got the AHL. If things were going to work like this, it would go through that. NBA, you have the G League in Europe and semi-pro leagues that are all over the world, and it's not working out for that. You have the NBA. I mean, just said the NBA. You have
MLB has
the MLB. You have the minors. It's just
the MLB is never going to work.
MLB would never.
No, but like
you can't really spice up baseball. Like when you watch baseball, you literally have to accept the fact that you're going to watch 9 innings and the pitcher's going to take 30 seconds to throw each pitch.
Yeah, and you look at the sport of basketball. The Globetrotters have been doing this for years, but I don't think it works in basketball because there's so many different leagues, and you wouldn't have the quality. No,
the thing is, the sport of football is such an intense sport that it almost attracts a certain type of fan base that would want to watch that. If you did the same thing to football or to baseball rather, and said, okay, we're going to have a league where a few rules are thrown out the window. The production is almost more comedic than it is serious. We're almost playing for beers at the end of it than an actual championship title.
The only sport that I can see it working with is just straight potential is hockey. But it's a thin line, and I doubt it lasts.
But that's like professional beer league. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
it's Spit and Chicklets. Yeah. It's like a Spit and Chicklets had a league.
Yeah.
Right?
It's basically if you put Spit and Chicklets and Bar Down together and just let them swear on camera, would be the XFL of the NHL.
I don't think it would last though.
No, like I'm not saying. Like,
well,
I
you're
think
gonna have a fight every game.
Boys are just slamming the Pink Whitney back after the game.
I think it'd be fun to watch, but I think football is the only environment that lends itself to it.
I think you're right, because football is the only environment that allows you to play a contact sport that, I mean, in football you can't fight. Hockey, you can drop the gloves anytime you want. I think a league that almost it's an offshoot of professional hockey, so it's not necessarily professional anymore. I think you're going to get really rowdy really fast, and it's going to be dangerous. And I mean, you let some of these guys that are NHL rejects go down there and say, okay, hit everything that moves. There are going to be some bad injuries.
That league would immediately, Yager would be back in America.
No.
Yager would.
No goddamn way Yager would ever step foot on that ice.
Hell no, Nigel. Yager, I get Yager's a good. He would get smoked.
He would die. He'd die on the ice.
I'm surprised he already hasn't.
Because you're getting some goon who's just going to be there winding up hits and crack.
George LaRocque would come out of retirement and literally just go fisticuffs with everybody that laid the dirty eye on him.
Well, the NFL has been nicknamed the No Fun League, and it's because it censors everything. The guys can't wear cleats. They can't the NFL
they're going
almost
barefoot. It's crazy.
Oh, they can't wear custom cleats. The NFL almost backs itself into a corner where a league like this is going to get made that lets the guys be themselves.
Yeah,
because the NFL shuns the personalities. NFL is trying to make itself into this professional gentleman's league, which the sport of football just isn't. So XFL kind of builds off of the horse shit of that and says, let's have fun.
It's trying to make itself seem more serious, but when you're at the top level of the sport, you can't really do anything else but make yourself look serious, though, Nige. Like you're saying, it's trying to build itself into a gentleman's league. Well, if the NFL isn't the most pristine football league out there, if they let themselves slip any way,
they're gonna get taken over.
Yeah.
That way. And then you get the NBA where you got rookies like Jackson Hayes going, NBA can suck my dick.
literally. Yeah. If you don't,
you imagine if Josh Jacobs went on the radio and went, Roger Goodell in the NFL can suck my dick.
Yeah.
Bye, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
You're banned for life.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that's part of the reason I think the XFL can succeed, because its sport counterpart is one
that's the opposite of it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like hockey, these guys say, like, mic'd up hockey, they're cursing and like they're joking with each other, cursing and swearing. Like,
tell you one thing, it's bad for the CFL. I don't care if the CFL is in a completely different season than the XFL. When you have
it takes away the NFL region.
Yeah, but even if
when the Atlantic Schooners show up, I'm gonna be there.
No, but like, if you are a CFL viewer, if you are a CFL fan, if you watch the CFL in any way, okay, now I have to watch 3 football leagues. If I'm interested in watching the XFL and the NFL.
Here's what the XFL is the CFL.
To me, that's
the
too much
CFL didn't
football.
make the dumb rules. Like, instead of the 3 down rule in the CFL just makes it a punt fest. It's
that's
dumb.
like saying, because they're completely different leagues because of the rules and the players that play in them. So that's pretty much like saying, okay, I watch the NHL, I watch the KHL, and I watch the Swedish Hockey League. Like, you're watching 3 completely different styles of hockey.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to have a connection to all 3 of them. No, that's just not how it goes. People watch the NHL because they like the NHL.
Yeah.
People watch the CFL in Canada because I like that style of football. But if they say, okay, I like the XFL way more than the CFL is going to lose viewers.
The CFL, I think, is going to have to go through a rebrand.
They're the biggest loser.
They're going to have to go through the rebrand in the next 5 years where they cut out all the...
That and the Arena Football League.
Man, is that still a thing? Is that still living?
Honestly, I don't know. I was making a joke.
So, as we all said, the XFL is great. We love it, but we cannot see it. The only sport that it could become a trend with is hockey, and that's
just going to be a rollerblade.
That's like
derby,
a
man.
one in a... Wait, what if the XFL is just rollerblade hockey?
I mean...
What if that's what they did?
Oh, it fully is still a thing. The Arena Football League's fully still.
But I think now we head into what we always do when we close, our players of the week. Jake, you want to start with yours?
My player of the week is Joe Thornton. And that is because he hit the 1,500 career points milestone. I know we were talking earlier about Joe Thornton being moved. I seriously don't think he's going to be moved, even if he is some sort of contributor to a team that picks him up, looking to make a cup run, playoff run, whatever it may be. He's not going to get moved. He is the face of the San Jose Sharks. Always has been, always will be. And to see him retire there would be a truly fulfilling thing for Joe Thornton to say, okay, I took this franchise through the ups and the downs. I stayed here. I haven't left, and I retire. And he's going to walk right into a job as like the president of finance or something, like something stupid like that.
Jumbo Joe.
But he's literally a piece of the fabric.
Well, he's been there since 2005 because that's when they made that trade with Boston for him.
He is literally the Sharks' heart and soul.
Yep.
And I'd like to see it stay that way. And he's my player of the week because he's just 1,500 career points is amazing.
My player of the week is Christine Sinclair. This happened actually, I think it was a little over a week ago, but I was only made known about it after we recorded our episode. Christine Sinclair became the world's all-time leading goal scorer for international soccer.
That's
with
crazy.
185 goals.
Yeah.
And that's of everyone, men's, women's.
That's big.
She has more international goals than Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo.
That's huge.
Everyone like that.
You
Abby
were
Wambach.
playing soccer for a long time to rack up a stat like that.
So 185 goals is a huge deal. Congrats, Christine. Canadian. Good stuff.
I think I have an autograph from Melissa Tancredi and Christine Sinclair.
You should sell it.
Honestly, it's probably worth
Man,
something.
I got a baseball signed by Edwin Encarnacion like before he was a thing. Like way back, like because the other feller who signed it, I think got cut, and it's also been signed by like Lloyd Mosby, Kelly.
Well, you
Gruber.
see, the guy that got cut drags down the value significantly.
I have an NHL. I have a game puck signed by no one other than Ryan Malone.
Man, honestly, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I think like NHL puck signed by Niall Yakupov would probably go for a lot of money.
No, it would not. You wouldn't sell that for $5.
Because
you would not sell it for $5.
I'd buy it for a crisp $2.65.
So speaking of hockey, this will go into my player of the week. This is Homer, not because he's a devil, but because he's from where I'm from, Annapolis Valley, born and raised, Valley Wildcats legend for the Ottawa Senators, Drake Batherson. He went up, landed a beauty of a snipe when he played with Ottawa. Every time they call him up from the minors, he tears the shit up. Last year, his first shot, first period, was a goal.
Mario.
Every time this guy comes up, he does great things. Obviously, I'm going to homer for him. We're from the same place. He's a stud. Ottawa needs to stop sending him to the goddamn minors and let this kid rock let him be the face of the franchise that they need. They need a young stud to become the face of the franchise.
Chuck could say something about that.
And I think if they give Drake the shot,
so could Shabbat.
Drake Batherson's a stud, and I think if they let him go he's my player of the week because he had a great game when they brought him up. He had a beautiful snipe.
Got to represent the hometown.
And then let this kid play, and he will do great things.
No, if he's doing good, all the power to him. I mean, it's great to see players from especially Atlantic Canada go and make it in the big leagues, whether it's football, hockey, baseball, anything. Literally anything. It's great to see people from the Maritimes make it where we're all from. So that's all for this week. Next week's debate topic is we actually have one prepared this week. Believe it or not, we've been saying, well, find out next week.
You're
for
welcome.
2 weeks now. But should trade deadlines be extended to the end of the regular season? Yes or no? We're going to debate that. Have a bit of discourse. I'm sure Nigel has a strong opinion like always, and he'll say whatever he wants to say about it, but we all will. Stay tuned for that. Follow our social media at BRBL Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to the Backroom Beer League YouTube channel, and thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.